Hello, very good afternoon or very good evening to everyone. I am really happy that you joined our TeachMeet, because a TeachMeet is really a great opportunity to learn from the peers, but also share your expertise. And it's great that we have now 8 speakers who decided to share their expertise with us. And we will have speakers from 5 countries, and I am really looking forward to this because there is like a nice collection of their experience. And we will, of course, I need to tell you that you will have an opportunity to see it again, because we will record this TeachMeet, of course, and we will put the recording to this course platform, to the live events. But now, today I am not important. My name, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Kornelia Lohinova, and I'm moderator, also co-moderator of this course. But now it's time to give the floor to our speakers. And I will now introduce a bit Calliope Megari from Greece. She's an experienced school counselor working with vulnerable groups of people in multiple settings, such as prisoners at school of a second chance and people with disabilities at special education units. She has many years of experience working with people with disabilities and chronic diseases, and her work has earned many prestigious international awards. She is the Global Engagement Representative of International Neuropsychological Society and member of the Ethics Committee of Hellenic Neuropsychological Society. So now, please, Calliope, the floor is yours. We are looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Cornelia. Thank you for your introduction. I am very happy to be with you today, even long distance. Unfortunately, things with COVID-19 here in my country are getting worse every day, and my city will be under lockdown the following days. But psychology is here to help, so we don't lose our hope. Now, I will present to you a project-based learning called Healthy Life. Next, please. Next slide. Okay. Effective learning happens when people work in projects. Students investigate and explore independently and learn through active participation rather than passive learning. Next, please. The main idea of Healthy Life Project is that students can learn a healthy way of life, healthy food, the way of gaining healthy habits, cultural issues, bad effects of smoking and alcohol consumption, and this is connected with real life situations because it will provide students with the adequate information that will be helpful for their lives. For instance, we say that some cultures have different healthy habits, different food habits, so students can learn cultural issues too. The main idea is that, okay, okay, next. Okay, the participants are students between 13 and 60 years old, are divided into groups. Each group consists of 5 students and discuss about healthy way of life. One group at a time plays the role of the teacher, gives quizzes to the rest of the groups, evaluates and gives a constructive feedback. Role-playing is used to enhance self-regulation, responsibility, decision-making, and good planning strategies. Next. Thank you for your attention. This is my project-based learning.
It's great, thank you. Yes, healthy life is very important today. So yes, it's an inspiration for all of us. So we had a nice presentation from Greece, and now we will proceed to Elena from Italy. And she is an English teacher in secondary school and also a teacher trainer for digital technologies and media education. And she's involved in European projects and collaborates with publishing companies. And now we are looking forward to your presentation, Elena. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to share our experiences. So my project was a PBL, and I have to say I started it last spring, and I started in presence. Then there was the lockdown, so it was half in presence and half from remote. And it may be very useful this time because I have probably to repeat the same thing. Could you please go on with the slides? Okay. So we wanted to analyze one of the goals of Agenda 2030, and in particular goal 12, which is about responsible production and consumption. So could you please go on? Okay, we tried to find a driving question that was shared with the students because this goal 12, responsible consumer and producers, is also part of their life. Indeed, they are consumers. And consumers of what? Especially fashion clothes. So, as a driving question, the authentic task was top 10 tips for green fashion. Next. So the driving question was something that is very close to their everyday life. Everybody in the world in this moment, young people, of course, the ones who can afford it, want to buy a lot of clothes. What sort of clothes? They are called fast fashion because they are usually quite cheap. But they don't realize how polluting they are. Indeed, every time we wash a synthetic t-shirt, it means releasing so many microplastics into the water cycle, and so the ocean will be polluted. Students don't think about it. So the project was create 10 tips to make people reflect before buying. And they were excited to do it because it was really part of their everyday life. Next, please. So I introduced this project and I was very lucky because it was shared also with other colleagues, in particular science and German. My students were 16 and it was a class of 24, so quite big, and it lasted about 3 weeks, but consider that it wasn't simply schoolwork. Most of it was done in extra time as a homework. Okay, next. So I would say that all competencies, the key competencies were developed. Of course, it was a project about English and German. It was developed using authentic material, so it was multilingual. It was digital because it was almost paperless. They had to demonstrate a lot of autonomy, so there was also learning to learn. Cultural awareness because they realized that so many other young people all around the world had the same attitude. Then there was entrepreneurship because they had to create something from their own ideas, and citizenship because I think they really gave a contribution as active citizens to think about responsible consumption. Could you go on, please? Okay, as it was a group work, of course, collaboration was developed, but as the final product were videos, creativity was again put into practice, as well as critical thinking and communication, and I show you later. Could you go to next, please? Okay, in order to help students, I collected a series of resources on the net because there's nothing on textbook, of course, about this. It's a current issue. And so this was just the beginning, because after this, they were completely free to search on the web whatever they found interesting and relevant about the video they wanted to produce. Okay. So, for example, this is one of the videos that was developed by my colleague of science, and they started analyzing the single labels of the clothes that they had in their wardrobe. And they discovered that a lot of them had synthetic fibers. And of course, the science teacher went on digging deeper into what it means, what's the difference between natural and synthetic fibers. Okay. As I told you, it was almost a paperless project, so many different tools, digital tools were used. Most of them are collaborative tools. Everybody knows Google Drive and Google Classroom, whatever, but also other tools such as the videos. These ones are Adobe Spark and Powtoon. Permit the sharing of the editing, so they could work at the same time from home. And that's that's a new feature that simplify lives in remote learning. Okay, next. So I had a big chance because, you know, from difficult situations, sometimes it's good to find the opportunities we may find. So in this case, it was a professional. It was somebody working in video making and in the field of digital advertising. And we called him at school, even if the school was simply represented by a video meeting. And he gave students tips. In particular, the students were really surprised by the fact that video on social media now must last no more than 45 seconds. So the big challenge is to produce a video which was effective but very short. Okay. And so students started to produce their videos. And it's a good choice, but let's see later on what may happen. Could you go to the other slide? Okay, this is the final project, that to say the collection of the single groups, of the video of the single group, in which the top question was giving the 10 tips, but all the other videos were created in order to give support to the main questions they were asked. Okay. And where is the problem? The problem is that the students start producing the video and they are so excited about choosing images, colors, graphic, whatever, and they start to assemble material. What's the problem for the teacher, from my experience, is that contemporarily we have to monitor 4 or 5 groups of people that create a lot of things, and we don't have time to keep an eye on everything. That's a moment which is really crazy, because you have to work on different channels, that to say everybody has got his Google Drive. So what is the tool which may be very useful for everybody? It's a checklist. A checklist is a series of questions, and these questions are created from the rubric, from the descriptor of the rubric. You transform the descriptor into a question and ask students, for example, is the presentation in line with the title? Yes, no, to be improved. If it is to be improved, they have to revise it until their last question is yes. And this may be done for the draft of the project, which is a sort of mind map, the main idea they want to develop, and see if they are out of track or not. It may be used also for the script of the video before producing the video, and then about the video sound effect. Can you go to the next slide, please? The voice recording, in which they have to think, was it in a silent room? Was my volume too low? Etc., etc. for the final check, and last but not least, of course, for self-assessment to see if they were happy with this. Okay. This project was so appreciated by students, but you know, it's a pity to keep this project inside the school. So another advantage of this remote learning, trying to find something positive about it, is that you can call families without disturbing them too much. So it was a video meeting in the evening, and families could see this project and were really happy to see what their children have done at school. Moreover, they also listened to the tips that were given by the students. So I think that transforming education, our activities at school, into something which is authentic, which leaves them space for their creativity, is really something involving not only for the students but also for the teacher. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. It's a really great project and so useful in these days and for young people. Yes, great. We have also some questions, but then I will give you this question, or you will have time to answer, please, after our third speaker, and it's Francesca from Italy. And Francesca is an adjunct professor at the Faculty of Human Sciences of University of Milan, where she also collaborates as a language trainer in the language department. And she has been working as a teacher of English at a high school specialized on scientific studies. And she has gained significant experience in teaching English language in higher education institutions and coordinating training projects for the Italian Ministry of Education, for which she works as an ELT and ICT trainer. Okay, so now, please, Francesca, the floor is yours. Looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon to everybody, and thank you for listening. As you can see from my PowerPoint, I'm here to present a project-based study which has been carried out in the scientific high school where I teach, with a group of 25 ninth grade students, with the specific purpose of perfecting the quality of distance teaching, exploiting the metric and imperial system conversions, but mostly to apply with the specific purpose of applying these conversions to everyday experiences, but mostly letting students explore and experience math content and English language by means of clear methodology, project-based learning, and an action research model. Next slide, please. Well, the background to the study is represented by the digital revolution that started with the COVID-19 breakout, and which led most educators to equip themselves with the latest digital softwares, and unfortunately using technology with a transmission delivery model. And paradoxically, this led to doubled the volume of information offered by in pre-COVID traditional settings. As a consequence, there was an unproductive delivery of impersonal and ineffective assignments, which totally disregarded the learning progression and the input and output teaching scaffolding. And the victims were the students themselves, who complained about this extra work they had to undertake. And it was here that we decided to rethink our approach to technology and to learning, and using technology in a different way, letting students play an active role in the construction of their learning and their knowledge with technology. And next slide, please. So our research questions, the driving questions were, will students find it easier to follow the remote teaching if they take an active part in their learning process? Will the virtual learning process and competencies as well benefit if the students are engaged in task-based activities, either individually or in group? And mostly I forgot to mention that our school is located in Lodi, which was one of the worst red zones epicenters of the virus. So we needed to use technology also to relieve and to mitigate the nightmarish experience we were suffering. And so this is why we adopted this new approach. We relied on an action research approach, a clear methodology, joining together mathematics and English language. And of course, we relied mostly on project-based learning. And the idea was to apply measurements, metric and imperial measurements, to everyday objects, to the COVID-19 environment, and which was at that time, but even today, unfortunately, made up of statistics, number of droplets, death rates, and number of infections. Our aim was to get students actively construct their knowledge, building new items, new learning items. In other words, we wanted them to learn outside school, online, in collaboration with their peers or also individually. But most importantly, we wanted them to be connected to the world. And so we involved them with two project-based tasks. Next slide, please. Mm-hmm. The first one involved them in measuring ingredients to make scones. So we provided them with a recipe, and with the supervision of their parents, they had to make these delicious products, and they had to create videos or leaflets or posters of their creation. And next slide, please. The next project instead consisted in creating funny measurements of the COVID experience itself. So they had to create again leaflets, videos, posters or infographics about they had free choice. They measured the size of the protective masks, the presumed size of the virus itself, the droplets while coughing, and the safe distance, even the weight they had to put on during the lockdown, and even the right amount of sanitizer needed to kill the virus. It was really funny and involving. Of course, the preliminary results all point to significant improvement in competencies, digital first, and also to problems solving skills and cultural awareness as well. Noteworthy improvements were also in the 4 C's, I mean critical thinking, creativity, communication and collaboration. And of course there was a beneficial impact on remote teaching modality. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. It was another great project. What a great idea to have these like funny activities during these difficult times. So yes, congratulations to our first 3 speakers. And I have questions now, but they are mostly for Elena. And I would like to ask you, Elena, please.
Yes.
There was a question that were the labels and previous pictures posted in a Padlet? Was it Padlet that you
Yes, it was Padlet.
Yes.
We used a Padlet as a dashboard for collection of all materials. So from the resources I showed you before to the single project, it's their repository. Everything is over there. because otherwise in Google Classroom, for example, it's not possible to see other people's work. So it's better to use a dashboard. There are so many others that are free now. So I would recommend to help students in a project to collect material, resources, a final project in one single space. Because of this one single space is useful because the video produced by each group becomes later on the material to study, that to say where to acquire knowledge for the other groups. So at the end of it, every student knows all what has been analyzed by the other groups. So that's why I would recommend having a single place where to collect things.
Can I ask a question?
Okay, so
I know I use Padlet, but you know, you need a license.
Yeah.
Did your school provide you with the license, or
No.
did you have to? No, this is what I did. Unfortunately, this is our mission.
I know there are schools who pay just one subscription for the whole school, so teachers can use it, take advantage of it, and it's free. But now, if you just have to collect projects, whatever, there are other similar software platforms for free. So I know, but okay, I know.
Yes, that was another question, that whether you developed also a site like Wix, you know, to post the videos, but now we know that it was Padlet.
Yeah.
So, and there was one more. Also, there was a question that whether it would be possible to have access to the main rubric that you showed us.
Okay, this was homemade. I produced it, but I don't think it may fit everybody. It derives from the rubric. It depends on the rubric you use. For me, for example, it's very important that students make pauses when they speak in a video, and that their voice sounds natural. For somebody else, maybe this is not an important point. So I would say that there are plenty of rubrics, you know. Also in the MOOC, there were mentioned two main sites. Rubric for All is one, and the other one is, remember the name? Anyway, it's very famous.
RubyStar.
RubyStar. Okay. And so over there, it's plenty of rubrics for PBL, as in the USA, it's very diffused, and transforming the descriptors of the rubric people are using into questions simplifies teachers' life, which is something important this time, I think.
Yes, right. And also, if you have older students, you could also give this to them as a task.
Yes,
they
absolutely.
can be co-creators of the rubrics.
Absolutely, yes. You have to share it before. Okay, yeah. That's okay. Thank you.
So now maybe I would judge the last question maybe for all of you, just whether you have disseminate your PBL project. How did you disseminate so interesting PBL projects? Just so from the first three presenters, and then we will proceed to Mariella. So how did you disseminate your PBL project? Have you already?
We have uploaded the projects on the school site, so it is visible to everybody. I am going to present it here, but also to other seminars and conferences, just to let people, let educators know how a sad experience can be turned into a more motivating one. And I hope that the seeds of these efforts will be plentiful.
Yes, great, sure. it was very nice to involve this fun to these days. So okay, so now we Elena, you disseminate what?
Well, I told in the last slide that involved the families. And I will use the project also as a teacher trainer for my colleagues in this moment in which remote learning needs something new. No more lectures, but much more projects like this. So I think I will I will share this experience with them in order to encourage them to start this way. Okay.
Yes.
And can I say just one last tip? Of course, since I created my presentation with 5 slides only, I omitted the rubric that we created, and which was less strict than ordinary assessment. I mean, we subdivided 3 great factors: limited presentation skills, effective presentation skill, and excellent presentation skills. And we had different descriptors. And the weight given to grammar or spelling was definitely inferior compared to the traditional way of assessment. And these produced better results, because students felt they played an active role and they were not simply judged by teachers. And so, of course, I used the rubric to create this grid, this checklist. Yes. And I think that the teacher who spoke before is right. With remote teaching, we needed to change our approach to learning and teaching. So we need to work on objective first, more than on the syllabus itself. So this is why rubrics are important.
Yes, great. Thank you. And Calliope, so your dissemination, and then we will continue.
I disseminate my project-based learning, This Healthy Life, through conferences, day conferences, seminars, and we have a team consisted of 1 psychologist, 1 teacher, and other specialties, school specialties. We go to other schools and we present our work. So this is one way that other schools learn how we do things. And of course, we have a collaboration with the university, with Aristotle University, and I conduct lectures there for the students. And part of my lectures is this kind of project-based learning.
Yes, good. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we need to share our best practice. That's great. Okay, so many thanks. And now we have Mariella already. So she has been an English teacher for about 20 years, and she has a degree in foreign language and literature, and she's specialized in digital competencies and IT-didactics applied to language teaching. And she has coordinated and planned community and evening projects in her school successfully, and she is committed to training teachers taking part in national and international online meetups. So now, Mariella, the floor is yours. Looking forward to your experience and presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to share this experience with all these teachers. Well, I'd like to talk about a practical activity that I did with my students last year during the lockdown, and it was the creation of a podcast with the title Voices from Around the World. Next slide, please. It was the final product of an e-twinning project with the title Language, Media and Communication, which has just got to the European level. And the main goal was to develop students' communicative competence in English, and at the same time to increase their digital skills. So we engaged our students in lots of activities which could help them to develop their competence in English and also their digital competence. Next one, next slide. Okay. So with the lockdown, we, with the Serbian and the teacher and the Spanish teacher, were my partners in the project. With the lockdown, we had to adjust the project to the new situation that we were living. So we had the idea to create a podcast. It was a way to look outside our homes where we were forced to stay, to break the barriers, and to look at what was happening around Europe. So we launched the idea to our students who were really excited to do that. The podcast consists in 2 episodes. And the first episode, the students interview teachers from around Europe, trying to give an overview of the government restrictions during the lockdown, and also the state of art of learning and teaching online. In the second episode, with the title Let Teenagers Speak, students interview peers from about 10 European countries and USA as well, trying to talk about their quarantine, about how they were living their free time and how they were feeling. So it was a way to share feelings and emotions, and also to remind each other the restrictions and the rules to follow and to stick to. And next one, please. So with the podcast, we let the world go inside our virtual classroom. That I think it was the right idea. And everybody, I must tell you the truth, everybody at that time, during the lockdown, everybody was happy to join. For example, we asked John Peter Sloan and Russell Stanner to be interviewed, and they were really happy to do that. And so you can imagine my students' excitement. And anyway, they used loads of collaborative tools in order to create the interviews, to choose, to write down the questions, and to also to choose the best ones for the guests that they had to interview. One of the collaborative tool was Google Doc. Next one, please. So to sum up, why creating a podcast in an English lesson? We realized that it was the right way to boost students' motivation to learn a language, to learn improve their communicative competence, because it gave them the possibility to use the language in real communicative situations. And so the task was meaningful and engaging, and students' speaking skills and listening skills really improved. And they also learned to work in team, because they had to put together their attitudes, their capacities, to work towards the same aim, trying to achieve a common product. And it was also a way to improve their digital skills because of the digital tools that they used. So, okay, it was a great experience, both for students and for us as teachers as well. Okay, thank you for your attention.
Yes, great. Thank you. I can imagine that it was a great experience. Yes, if it's close to their lives, then it's always beneficial for students. And now we will go on, and then we will go through the questions. And we have Salvador from Spain, and Salvador has been working as a primary physical education, therapeutic pedagogy and English teacher. and he's a member of the management team and coordinates the eTwinning and Erasmus project of his school. And he's an eTwinning ambassador and coordinates the eTwinning group in rural areas since April 2020. And what is interesting, his school has been recognized as a learning community. It means its main feature is the participation of families in the school through interactive groups in class. So parents, teachers and students work together. It's very interesting. So now we are looking forward to your presentation, Salvador. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction. So project-based learning in a rural area is very difficult, especially because we don't have many technological resources. We have to find new way of working together hand in hand, especially with the community, in particular with families, to set up new projects. So next one, please. Next. Okay. So project-based learning in my school, it's an opportunity to change the way of teaching in order to improve the academic results. Of course, everyone knows that putting in practice new methodologies costs a lot, but especially in a rural area. So, but we try to change the situation in our school in order to improve not only better academic results, but also to motivate our students. Next, please. Of course, one of the most important points was to turn our weaknesses into strength and work hand in hand with the community, teachers, students, parents, local association. The idea was to open the door of our school, to involve families in the life of the school, and we organized. One of the strengths was organize interactive groups where parents can participate in class at the same time with students and teachers in a collaborative way. Next. This interdisciplinary way of teaching motivates a lot our students because they themselves as a protagonist of the learning process. Especially when they are working together with their parents, they feel even more motivated. Next. Project-based learning through eTwinning, through the eTwinning project, is a real challenge for teachers, but also, of course, for students. We try to idea of working together with the communities is how we organize, especially the ephemeris. We celebrate many ephemeris during the school year, and we organize the ephemeri in order to involve families in the activities. Of course, the volunteers, you can see in the photo that the volunteers are not only parents, but also grandparents. And we try to design the activities depending on the volunteers also. There are painters, farmers. So next one, please. The virtual class, of course, is through the space. The use of new technologies allows our students to learn new basic skills and adapt the needs and their interest to their reality. So this is the reason why they enjoy a lot working on eTwinning project. one of the most important activities for them is meeting new classmates, knowing or investigating about new culture, new new countries. I mean, this is the most important aspect for them. Next one. Well, our project have a lot of common aspects, but especially we consider that the shared investigation and coordinated work, not only students or the activities, but also how we organize the activities with the group of teachers into the school and also with our partners, with our European partners. It's very important to pay attention to the evaluation, the assessment, the activity, and also the project. Of course, open the project not as a useful experience for our school, but also for the community. Next one. Next, please. This is an example of how we organize our project. We try to collect the activity in some topics. Of course, we consider the most important aspect in order to assist or in order to evaluate properly our project. Next one. We consider a series of criteria to assist our project, to evaluate our project. Pedagogical innovation, integration into our curricula. That's the most difficult aspect in our school. Of course, communication and interaction, the use, although we don't have many technological resources, but the use of new technologies. Of course, dissemination, impact, and result, not only for our school, but also for the community. Next one, please. You can see here there is a series of examples of collaborative activities. The majority of them are videos, but we organize many activities in the project in order to interact with students from different countries. Next one. So this is the last slide of my presentation. So thank you.
Many thanks. Thank you. It's really a great idea to involve parents and even grandparents. So yes, I really love this idea. Thank you for sharing with us. And now we already have here Elena from Italy, and she's a teacher of Spanish in a secondary school in Bologna, and she also works at the regional department of education. And she's a teacher trainer, ICT coordinator, and designer of digital content, both for teachers and students. And she's been running training courses for in-service and student teachers at national and international level. And she's, of course, a member of the Lithuanian community. We know her very well, and she is a member of European Ambassadors Network and moderator of Virgilio featured group. So, and we all know that she's very passionate about European projects and sharing and caring and collaboration. So now, Elena, please, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Cornelia. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for listening to me about this experience. I want to speak about a project, a PBL project with students, because I've got another idea, and my communication is about let's PBL together, but together with whom? Next, please. I've got an idea, and my idea was about how to work with a PBL approach, not only with pupils, with our students, but also with colleagues at school and beyond. As Cornelia has said, I'm a teacher of Spanish, so please forgive me my bad level of English, but also I'm a teacher trainer. So I've got an experience of in-service training course, which is called Let's MOOC Together. And I can call it like a sort of meta course because it's a course about this MOOC, this PBL MOOC on PBL and key competences. So during this course, I set this driving question, which is how could we be agents of change in our school to adopt a PBL approach in a more systemic and systematical way. So this was our driving question, the driving question who ran all throughout the course. Next, please. So this is the idea and how we did it. I created two groups of teachers, more or less 40 teachers in each group, and they are teachers from all over the region. Some of them belong to the same school, but there's a variety of schools and teachers and levels and ages of students. But the main idea is to meet together once a week during the 4 weeks of the 4 modules of the course. And we did together the course, we take together the course, and we divide it also in little groups to do the activities. So in a sort of a real PBL activity, taking a PBL course. So it was a little bit complicated at the beginning, but in the end, it was very, very interesting and funny and enjoyable because we learned together and we did things together exactly like a collaborative group of students who work on PBL and through PBL approach. Next, please. So I don't know if you agree with these ideas, but I was thinking that before adopting an effective PBL approach in class, we have to, first of all, understand what PBL is, and that's why we take this course, but also to experience the PBL approach ourselves. We were thinking that we cannot work on PBL if we don't have PBL inside of our experience, and we did in 2 ways, by taking the MOOC on PBL all together and by working in groups to implement the different steps that the course itself proposed. Another important idea for us is to share this experience with colleagues. As I said before, we are a huge group of teachers from all over the region, so we could share this experience both at school, but also at regional level, because we come from different towns in the region. And last but not least, to assess our action, the course has taught us that assessment is a fundamental part of the PBL process, and we assess our action, our experiment through checklists, rubrics, of course, but also in a practical way by being kind guests. We invented this word, going to another teacher's class and look and see what he or she is doing with her or his students. And in this way, we can have a more practical assessment, a more practical point of view, and also a more practical feedback to understand if we are going to the right way or if we are a little bit lost in the path. So next, please. So if you want PBL with us, this is our class, our group. We did it through via Google Meet, and it was really enjoyable. We enjoy it a lot, being together to learn. Thanks a lot.
Great, thank you. What a great mosaic of ideas we have and projects. And I really like this idea. It's like a different approach, but yes, I'd like to have such colleagues in my schools also, that and in my region. Congratulations to this. And now we will welcome Loredana Popa from Romania. She's an English teacher at school Botosani, Romania. She's an Evening ambassador and National Geographic certified educator and part of the Monitoring Evening Schools program. And she's involved in European projects and passionate about the idea of students as protagonists of their learning. So please, Loredana, looking forward to your presentation.
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you for the very nice introduction. Yes, I am an English teacher, but I'm really passionate about science and about the idea of students being protagonists like in any e-twinning school. And the idea I want to run by you today involves transcurricular and interdisciplinary creative writing based on the idea of students as teachers. Next, please. Okay, so basically, why would we choose creative writing? Well, we all know this fuzzy, pleasant feeling we get when we start creating something and we start writing and the ideas come and the flow is going and we really keep on writing and everything seems a lot clearer at that point. Now, critical thinking has the benefit of using both hemispheres, which is something that students maybe don't do a lot of, in general classes maybe, and they are not usually taught to think outside the box and to be creative and to find solutions. And creative writing is about finding solutions because you're presented with a particular problem or perspective you're writing from, and then you have to find a way around it and to solve whatever conflict or problem comes your way. Now, explaining STEM concepts through storytelling is something that makes students understand these concepts easier because they lack intrinsic motivation. They do not understand how the theory and the abstract concepts that they learn in class are related to real life, and they find it a lot more difficult to understand. But when you put it as a story, everything seems a lot more pleasant. And when they are the ones writing the story, well, everything is they feel like on top of the world. Next, let's see how this works. So if you look at this picture, you're going to see some random things that are supposed to exemplify school subjects. We all know that students nowadays have to learn everything from math and equations, inequations, past perfect, third conditional, whatever STEM, whatever science items they're studying at that moment. Maybe some noble gases, as you see the gents sitting on the right, maybe some European geography or, I don't know, fauna and flora, maybe a bit of friction and a bit of physics, and also a bit of neural networks. But they learn them, separately. And we need to help them put all of these lovely people together in a big bubble and let them interact and create a fun environment where these notions interact and kind of self-explain themselves. And the idea is, next please, to divide your students in groups. Obviously, you can use lots of tools that are available online to create groups, or you can just let your students choose. There is obviously a recommended number of students per team because it's a bit difficult if you want to have larger teams of students writing. I teach primary and secondary, so if you get 12, 13-year-olds in groups of maybe, I don't know, 9 or 10, it's going to be a bit challenging. And each student chooses one item or two items that they really understand from whatever they're studying at that point. It could be a historical event, it could be a formula in math, it could be something about biology, or I don't know, some cultural heritage that they have learned about in social studies, or it could be just a grammar concept or vocabulary one. And they have to put all of these nice concepts together. And obviously, to make this a lot more challenging and fun, they add a scientist or a musician, an artist. It could be a writer, it could be contemporary, it could be someone who's been dead for hundreds of years. It doesn't really matter. Or they can just put all of them. And they could also add an urban legend. Now, the tricky part is actually writing a story that is quite coherent and that includes all these elements. And every student has to find a way to explain his concept, whatever item he's trying to explain to his colleagues, as a story. Now, for example, imagine you have Marie Curie meeting Mozart. Obviously, you can't use Imagine Dragons Radioactive to have Marie Curie explain what radioactivity, to start the conversation on radioactivity. So how would she explain that to Mozart? And how would Mozart feel about noble gases, for example? Maybe he could finally figure out that, you know, there's a special piano that I've learned about, and noble gases have different sounds, and you can create music by using these particular sounds that noble gases are associated with. So could Mozart and Marie Curie have something in common? Could chemistry and music have something in common? And the interaction has to be genuine, meaning you cannot place Marie Curie with an iPhone in her hand. Obviously you could, but it has to be authentic, historically speaking. Like I said, Isaac Newton was not wearing jeans, as far as we know. So students have to do a bit of research as well. They can obviously use Minecraft or Roblox or whatever they're playing, maybe even Scratch, to create the background for their characters. It doesn't have to be very complicated, and we love to have them create their own style and do as much as they can. The idea is to get their point across and to be able to explain, for example, the nervous system to their colleagues in a story. Next slide. Okay, what we want to do, what I'm really passionate about, is getting your student from I cannot do this for the love of me, to I'm really interested, I want to take part, I want to do this, I actually want to learn and come to school. And there are just two things that we should keep in mind. Students need to understand that they are essential, that every one of them is essential and a part of their team, and everyone's work is fundamental to the success of their team and to the entire story. Everybody has a role to play and something genius and a bit of genius inside them. I always say, tell my students that they will not come across problems in life the way they are taught in school. Usually, nobody's going to come and tap you on the shoulder and say, "I'm third conditional. Can you tell me the rule?" Or, you know, can you help me with the Gauss sum here? They're going to come together in a context. They're going to come as a gathering of a combination of aspects and school subjects, and they need to find a way to solve a problem that involves items from various school subjects. I've tried this on a small scale. I haven't tried it with all school subjects in a story, but what I've learned is that my students have fun doing this and doing the research, and they actually remember stuff from the stories they read that were written by their peers, or from the stories that they actually wrote. That is all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yes, everybody matters, and that is of course, again, great approach. Students as teachers and this intrinsic motivation. Okay, we have, thank you all, and we have Christina from Croatia. I hope that you will still stay with us and we'll listen to Christina, who is an English teacher in a small rural school in the Mediterranean part of Croatia. And she has 20 years of teaching in primary and lower secondary level, and active and awarded EAT winner. Her colleagues are a great team and organize many different school activities and cross-cultural school projects. It's great to have colleagues like that, and ICT tools have been her passion for many years. And congratulations, because last year she was awarded as one of 500 best teachers in the country by the ministry. So, Christina, the floor is yours.
Well, hello from Croatia. Thank you for having me and for listening. I'm the last one, the sweetest, I suppose. It's a joke. Well, let me tell you about the way I use MOOCs in my classroom. So you can, okay, let's start. Lumen is a platform. Okay, here we are. So Lumen is a platform like Moodle or like Merlin or even like the one School Education Gateway uses for this PBL course we are all part of. In Croatia, this platform is used on the national level for professional development by all the teachers. So it's actually a very useful platform because you can create your own courses, and English, as an English teacher, English is a subject that, in my opinion, is better used in combination with other subjects, especially now in the STEAM era. So I try to think cross-curricularly and to collaborate with my colleagues when formulating and planning a project, because I always have this initial problem with the driving question, and my colleagues can help there because two heads are better than one. That's always true. I find MOOCs are suitable to use with students that are 12 or older because they're digitally competent enough to follow and do the course. So let's go on. On the next slide, you can see some of the topics I decided to do after I got out of the trouble with the driving question. And it was mental health, legends, traveling, and my country. The picture shows the inside of my MOOC, showing the description and the tasks I wanted to have for my students. And the next slide is about the platform. Actually, it's a place to have it all gathered together. It's the place where you can have it all in one place. The platform Lumen can be accessed through educational email, and the username and the teachers and the students both have. But teacher can create courses and prepare different login data for the students. So it's not necessary for the students to have the educational information to log in. What you can do inside the platform, you can create smaller groups within a class. You can gather explanations, links, materials, and resources all in one place. You can ask students for feedback. You can distribute tasks connected to whatever you decide to do on a course. You can prepare games. You can take care of the deadlines, and it's all inside the platform. There are all kinds of mini tools inside the platform that allow you to do all that. But of course, you can incorporate and embed and copy paste from other ICT tools. What's great about using the platform, because it's all in one place, you can use it in the classroom offline, and of course, you can use it online. And again, the picture shows the inside of my course MOOC. A lot of text because it was explanation, it was giving tasks. There are other parts of the MOOC itself when you get into. So on the next slide, I will show you my second attempt, my second MOOC I decided to do. It was a MOOC called My Fantastic Country. It was done through collaboration with my colleagues, geography, history and math teachers. Each subject dealt with some of the ideas and topics from their curriculum, but we were mixed together. So we tried to somehow connect everything together. We did it with a class of 14-year-olds, and they were familiar with the concept of MOOCs because it was the second year we did it with the same class. But I will never forget the comment on the first year when we started with the MOOC. There was a student, she was an excellent student, and on the first day we started with this MOOC, she said, really? We can move around and do the tasks. So this is something that had me thinking, so are we supposed to have our students sit in class and listen, or maybe try something else? So sometimes the students tell us what we should do. And another good thing about this kind of working process is that there were days in the timetable that allowed the students to work on the task in the MOOCs during the whole day, because they had English and geography and history and everything in one day. So there was no, the bell ringing and off you go to another class. So it was a whole day of working together on the same thing without having to think about how now it's English and now we go back to maths, etc. So what I want to conclude is learn and keep on trying, because both teachers and students need the process of trying new things and learning by mistakes, right? So you learn, you make a mistake and then you try again and then you learn again. We had troubles. We didn't know how much time to give for the course. Is the amount of instructions and resources and materials enough? Should we give them more tasks to do on their own? A big problem was how to assess, but it was done. We managed to do it. It was done at students' pace. Students developed as leaders or as team workers. They had to be responsible, they had to collaborate, and there was motivation, whether intrinsic or extrinsic, but it was there. Many kind of products came out of it. Actually, whatever you decide to do, you can choose to do whatever is in concordance with your topic, but for us and the age of the students, the products were something like a game or rebuses or quizzes, a PowerPoint presentation, a sketch, a mini drama play. We even had a poll. But what I like the most is this kind of workshop we had for the parents. And this is the picture showing parents having fun on a school meeting where the students prepared like a mini show for them. If you take a better look, you will see a piece of wood, and the three moms are playing it's Mastermind, the game where you have to break the code. So the students created their own game using a piece of wood and plastic straws. So I suggest MOOCs as a way of PBLing, because it's a game. There are benefits and it can be also fun, and it also puts teacher in a position to move on and to learn more. And that's it. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. Thanks a lot. And yes, we teachers should always stay learners too. So what a fantastic mosaic, as I told already, of these PBL approaches, and really many thanks to all these great ideas, inspiring. We are grateful for all these. And now there's time for your questions. And I have one question for Mariela already, that you were talking about experts, and the question was, how did you or maybe students contact the experts? Mariela, if you are still here.
No, Mariella doesn't seem to be here anymore.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, I think that it's not a problem that you or your students. I have this very nice, really a positive experience that whoever I invite, that most of experts really accept invitation. And yes, this collaboration with others and also with parents, as we have seen already, it can bring a lot of expertise to our classrooms too. And so the question is, will you share the slides of the presentations? I think that we have this, I would like to remind that we will have the recording of this whole session in the course platform, so you can just watch it again and get inspired, because I understand that now we have a lot of ideas. We have heard and seen many ideas, and you will probably need to go over it again, so you will find the recordings. And now the question was also for Elena, that whether Minerva from Mexico, whether she can join you next time you organize your next course.
Yeah, I've already answered in the chat. Yeah, well, I'm used to organize such kind of courses. So Minerva, whenever you want, you're more than welcome to join us and to take the course with us. This is the great opportunity of having and taking courses online. Well, you know, face-to-face meetings are wonderful because you can see face-to-face, but online courses also have their good opportunities. So, and you know, as I'm a teacher of Spanish, I would be more than delighted to speak in Spanish with you, which is a language that I dominate much better than English.
Great, so now we even have this opportunity from Elena, maybe all of us next time. Many thanks for this. So do you still have any questions, or can we, or maybe it's already we have 15 minutes already more. So I think that there are no more questions from you, our participants. I would like to thank a lot again to all our presenters, that they had this courage to present to us, and it was for us really beneficial and great to hear all these ideas and inspiration. Sometimes we need this kind of motivation from others if we don't find these colleagues like that. Sometimes we don't find them in our schools, so it's great that we can connect online and be together as colleagues and share ideas. So many thanks to our experts and presenters, and of course many thanks to all participants of this event.